games per week, you decide which games to watch each night. So whether you're a Ranger fan in California, an Avs fan in Texas, or a Hawks fan in Florida, you won't miss a highlight goal, hit, or save.
How good does that feel?
Plus, you get a front row seat to witness McDavid, Matthews, Tkachuk, and all the best stars of the NHL. Order NHL Center Ice today.
You are watching BRC 13.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2024 Political Forum on BRC 13, sponsored by the Pocono Chamber of Commerce. I'm your moderator, George Roberts from TV 13, coming to you live from East Stroudsburg University. For the next hour, you'll hear from candidates for 2 state house seats here in Monroe County. State Representative for the 115th District, Democrat Maureen Madden, and her challenger, Republican Matt Long. And State Representative for the 189th District, Tarah Probst, and her challenger, Republican Lisa Van Wy. Now, we're going to start with the 115th Legislative District. That encompasses the townships of Barrett, Coolbaugh, Paradise, Pocono, Price, and the borough of Mount Pocono, and a portion of Middle Smithfield Township, the West District, and also portions of Stroud Township, Districts 2, 4, and 5. Opening and closing remarks will be 2 minutes in length. Answers to the questions will be 1 minute in length. We're going to get things started now with opening remarks, and we will begin with State Representative Maureen Madden.
Thank you, George. Can you all hear me? Okay, because this microphone's a little low. Maybe ESU needs some new money for media equipment. I'm State Representative Maureen Madden. I am pleased that you are all here today. I am pleased that my opponent agreed to this forum. And I look forward to spending the next hour talking to you and highlighting the work that I've done over the last 8.5 years. I'm extremely grateful that you all showed up. I'm extremely grateful for the level of participation in democracy right now. When I lost my first race for the 115th Legislative District in 2014, less than 12,000 people came out to vote in a district that encompassed 62 to 64,000 people, and I lost by 588 votes. In 2022, and I say 2022 because it was an off-year election, right? It wasn't a presidential election. That number doubled. Nearly 22,000 people came out to vote. Well, it did double. 1122, it doubled. And I was able to win by thousands of votes. And in the next presidential election, the numbers didn't grow that much. So what it shows me is that you are all engaged and that you are all ready for change and that you like what the Democrats are doing since we took the majority by 1 vote when we won 26 seats in 2022. People said they'd had enough. It was time for a change. And I have been working for the last 8 years to bring that change to Monroe County and the Commonwealth. We have invested record $1.1 billion in school funding, which will lower your property taxes. We passed in the House of Representatives, still waiting for the Senate, Minimum Wage Act, Fairness Act, so many bills that will lift up the people of Pennsylvania that we're waiting for them to pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Next, we'll hear from Matt Long.
Thank you to ESU for hosting tonight. Thank you to my opponent for being here as well. Thank you, George, for moderating, and thank you, everyone, for being here. It's great to see so many young people in the crowd, however you're voting. I share Representative Madden's passion for democracy, so we agree on that. For anybody who doesn't know, my name is Matt Long. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and I'm running for state representative because I'm deeply concerned about the future of the Poconos. I'm concerned about the cost of living, something my opponent didn't even mention in her opening statement. I'm concerned about rising taxes, and I'm concerned about losing the quality of life in the Poconos that we all love. also concerned about the state of political discourse. I'm really passionate about restoring civility. I grew up in a divided family. One side's very Republican, but the other side is very Democratic. I grew up as a Democrat. And we always listened to each other, respected each other, and sat down at the end of the day at the dining room table to share a meal. So that's something that I know we can get back to. As I knock on doors all over the county, I've been met with kindness and respect from Republicans, Independents, and Democrats. I've had only a handful of situations where it was anything other than that. So that's something that I aim to bring to this seat, and it's something that is sorely lacking. I will lay out the case tonight that my plan will bring down prices, bring down property taxes, and keep our communities safe. My opponent hopes that the recent money she just referenced will trickle down so that your property taxes will just go down somehow automatically. But she was the deciding vote against a property tax rebate up to $1,000 for everyone in the district. So I look forward to getting into that more. I will work to support our law enforcement, support our veterans, and make Pennsylvania more affordable. I look forward to a good conversation tonight and getting into more details about these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start with questions that we have from the members of the Chamber of Commerce, and you'll have 1 minute to answer. You'll each have 1 minute to answer the question. We're going to start, Maureen, with you. And the first question is about inflation and the state of the economy. It's a big issue this election. What can you as a legislator do to help families who are struggling to make ends meet?
Well, we've already done that in the House of Representatives. We're just waiting for those bills to come back from the Senate. We passed a minimum wage increase to $15 an hour. So as you know, we are one of the few states that still has a $7.50 an hour minimum wage. Might be $7.25. Hasn't changed with the federal government. We passed $1.1 billion in education funding, which is going to bring the cost of your property taxes down. I've already spoken with some officials who said, we've gotten this money, we're looking to bring taxes down. We continue to pass child tax credits so folks can get child care help. We passed a bill to allow students to write off their student loans on their state and their federal. We have instituted many, many programs to help people from day to day live. Thank you.
Matt, same question.
Yeah, that answer is just so out of touch to me. You know, she's saying that she's had 4 terms in office, and if you give her 1 more, maybe your property taxes will go down. We're waiting on it. Again, I'll reiterate, she was the deciding vote against a property tax rebate, 50%, up to $1,000 for everyone in Pennsylvania. It failed 103 to 102. So that is something that I will immediately reintroduce when I'm your representative, and we will pass that. And Governor Shapiro will sign it. I just want to add one more thing. She proposes a new tax on natural gas extraction. When we have record high gas prices, her plan is to add a new tax on the energy industry. That will raise costs for energy in your homes. It will raise costs of gas at the pump, and it's going to raise your grocery prices because every business has energy costs. If their costs go up, they're going to pass it on to the consumer. So, you know, some of the things she mentioned there I agree with, but we have a stark contrast on property taxes and natural gas.
Okay. Again, I'm going to ask the audience not to clap because it's going to take time away from asking the next question and moving this along. We don't have a lot of time here tonight. We want to get as many questions in as we can. So, Matt, this next question is for you. Affordable housing is plaguing our region as many who work in this area cannot afford to live here. This hurts resorts and other industries that are trying to attract workers. What state-level initiatives regarding affordable housing could you pursue to help us?
Yes, and you know, it's important to note that in our first debate on the radio, Representative Madden said her plan was to convene a summit in her 5th term. It's taken her 4 terms to realize that there's a problem worth studying. That's her plan. It's a perfect example of how she's an ineffective career politician. We need tax incentives for affordable housing development. We need to reduce regulations and costs to promote the development of affordable housing. And we need to streamline the process for affordable housing for seniors and also Section 8 development. I spoke to somebody who's actually in the crowd tonight, and she says it takes many months to get Section 8 rental units approved. We need to incentivize the hiring of more Section 8 inspectors to streamline that process, and we also need tax incentives for more private landlords so that they participate in Section 8 housing. This is something that I hear about at the doors time and time again, and I will take action on this immediately when I get into office.
Thank you. Maureen, same question.
Sure. So first, let me just comment about something that my opponent said about my voting no on $1,000 property tax relief. That would be 50% off. $1,000 is not 50% off for hardly anyone. I actually had a bill that would have given everybody 50% property tax reduction. It would have cost $4 billion, and I couldn't get it through a Republican House or a Republican Senate. And what my opponent does not mention to you is we've had a humble one-vote majority in the House for just about 2 years now. They've had the majority in the House and the Senate, and they had the governor's mansion for 4 years, and they did nothing. I asked for a summit. He's exactly right. I asked Chris Barrett to convene a summit. I've been asking for it for years. He said, we're going to do it, Maureen. We're going to make it huge, and it is happening. And I'm the prime co-sponsor of the property tax rent rate rebate, which brought 200,000 more seniors into rent relief. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Okay, our next question, Maureen, you'll start with this question. Turning our attention to public schools, are there any subjects you feel are missing from the curriculum that should be added so our graduates are better prepared?
How about civics? How about people learn about how the way democracy works? People learn that it's a participatory sport, right? You don't sit at home and watch democracy happen with you. I would like to make sure that our theater programs, that our music programs are alive and well, because there are students who learn with different abilities and students who have no interest in being in school. But if they can learn to play an instrument, if they have the theater company, or if they have sports, we need to make sure that we have a range of sports, because these are where children develop discipline and they develop skills and they learn how to work together. We need to stop cutting education funding, and we have done that in the House of Representatives, and we've taken the Senate along with us. I'm going to tell you over and over again about the nearly 500 bills that we have passed in 2 years in the House of Representatives, and we're waiting for the Senate to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, same question.
Yeah, so we have a divided government. You can't just expect to pass a bill, hope the Senate Republicans take it up and vote on it. You have to work with Senate Republicans. I spoke to a Republican colleague who said that you walked away from him after he identified as a Republican. She won't even talk to the other side, let alone work with them. And on the property tax rebate, she mentioned her program. That gives $1,000 in a property tax rebate to people whose income is $8,000 or less. Raise your hand if your income is $8,000 or less. No hands were raised. Okay. So also on the majority question, she said, yeah, you have a one-seat majority. They used that one-seat majority to vote down the 50% property tax rebate up to $1,000. That was a stand-alone bill. It was 1 or 2 pages. You can go online and read it. We'll put it on our social media after the debate. So I would love to know her reasoning for voting against a 50% property tax rebate when we have the highest property tax rate in Pennsylvania.
So, Matt, I guess there are no subjects that you feel are missing from the curriculum in public schools?
I agreed with everything she said. I think it's important to address the issues that she's been wrong about.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Matt, you'll answer this. We're going to talk more about schools. Do you feel we're doing enough to keep our kids safe in schools here in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so I want to talk about sports. I agree with her that sports are important for kids' development. I think kids should play a variety of sports, and it's important for a variety of reasons. But I think that we have to be honest about protecting women's sports. We have to protect women. I don't have children, but if I have a daughter and she goes to public school, I want her to be safe. I want her to be safe in bathrooms and locker rooms. I want her to be safe in sports. So this is a huge difference between us. Representative Madden got up and vociferously argued that boys should be able to play in girls' sports, and I couldn't disagree more. So I think we have to protect girls. This is a very pivotal time, and this is a cultural issue, but the vast majority of people, over 70%, are against boys playing in girls' sports.
Time's up. Okay, let's continue on. Maureen, same question. Are we doing enough to keep our kids safe in schools here in Pennsylvania?
So could you be more specific? Was that question about women playing in sports, or was that question about keeping our children safe from gun violence?
It was about keeping our kids safe in schools.
I just wanted to make sure I'm answering the right question. Yes, I'm extremely concerned about gun safety in school. I was extremely concerned in my freshman year when a group of students from the Acceptance Project said to me, can we please have a hearing, and when you help us have a hearing, because we want to have a hearing about gun violence in school, and they were students in Stroudsburg High School, and the school will not allow us to have this hearing. So we had the hearing. It was a policy hearing. Really? That was fast. We had a policy hearing, and people talked about it. I spent a week in Parkland after the shooting in Parkland. I had another hearing, and two of the parents who lost their loved ones testified, lost their children. We invested $25 million for school safety that year. We keep adding to it every year. School safety is of paramount importance.
Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue on that vein about gun violence. Maureen, do you feel enough is being done so Pennsylvanians can walk down the street without worrying about gun violence? And if not, what do you want to change?
Sure. So we actually, I'm really happy to say, I mean, I keep talking about the Senate not doing their job, but I'm really happy to say on this particular subject, Democrats and Republicans have worked really well. We're trying to close the gun show loopholes, right? We're trying to get weapons out of people's hands that are 30 rounds in a second and a half. We're trying to protect families who have members who may be suffering from some mental illness and make sure that the gun cases aren't open and they're not displayed where they can get to them. Of course I care about gun violence. We lose too many people to gun violence, and we have to do more. And I'm really happy to work with Democrats or Republicans. What Matt doesn't tell you is that I passed a bill 199-4 on medical assistance treatment. I'm working right now with State Representative Armanini to put that $15 million in the budget that the Republicans didn't see fit to fund our elderly. So I do work in a bipartisan
Time's up,
way.
Maureen. Thank you. Matt, same question regarding gun violence.
Yeah, so my approach on this issue is a little different. Most school shootings are done with illegally obtained weapons. So my approach would be to add school security. I hate to say it because, again, if I have kids, I don't want them going into a school that feels like a prison, but this is a real issue. And I think the best way to address it is to have school security minimums provided by the state and more funding for school security in our schools. I also want to say that I agree with Representative Madden on the mental health crisis. I think that we have to dedicate more funding and research into the mental health crisis that we're dealing with, and we need to take care of our children. And this goes back to what she said about sports and programs for kids in schools. During COVID, we had our kids in front of a screen all day in their homes, and depression, anxiety, suicide rates went through the roof. So we have to get back towards connection and getting our kids active and outside more.
Thank you, Matt. All right, our next question, we're going to move to immigration, another hot button topic this election cycle. Matt, you'll answer this first. How do you think Pennsylvania is handling the illegal immigration crisis? Do you think we have a handle on undocumented immigrants in our state?
The short answer is I don't think we're doing a very good job. I commend governors around the country who have sent resources to the border to do the job that our current administration in the federal government is failing to do. We've had over 15 million people easily cross the border over the last 4 years, and it's more than Trump, Obama, and Bush combined. So we have to do a better job, and Governor Shapiro should lead on this issue. He could be the first Democrat to send resources, National Guard, financial resources, materials to the border so that we can secure our border. I'm all for immigration, but it needs to be legal. We need to know who's coming into our country. We can't just have a wide open door where anybody can come in, and we've seen the statistics recently on who is coming in. Criminals, terrorists. I mean, people on the terrorist watch list are flowing into our country. They just stopped somebody, the FBI just stopped somebody the other day who was planning on committing a crime.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Maureen, same question, Maureen.
Sure. I just want to mention, because Matt has mentioned it twice, about me being the no vote on the 50% property tax. I didn't vote for that bill because it didn't have a fiscal note, because they couldn't, Doyle Heffley, the rep who introduced that bill, couldn't tell what it was going to cost, and there was no fiscal note. It was just $1,000 off for everybody. What does that cost? When I had that bill, we knew it cost $4 billion, and the Republicans didn't want to entertain it. Immigration. Immigration is really simple. It's a federal issue, and there was a bipartisan bill by Senator Langford, and with one phone call from Donald Trump and said, don't pass that bill. I want immigration to get solved while I'm in office. That bill was killed. That is the absolute truth.
All right, let's stop. Let's calm down.
At the presidential, at the President's State of the Union address, he said that, and they shot to Senator Langford, the Republican senator, and he shook his head and said, they're right.
We're out of time. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to move on to another topic. We're going to talk about Pennsylvania's abortion law. Pregnancies can be ended in the Commonwealth up to 24 weeks gestation. Abortions can be performed after that cutoff if a pregnant person's life or health is in danger. Pennsylvania also imposes several other rules on people who wish to end pregnancies. One of them is a requirement for pre-abortion counseling. Other restrictions involve insurance coverage. Do you agree with the law as it stands, or would you favor making some changes? Maureen.
I think a woman's right to bodily autonomy is her right and her right only. And I don't think the government has any business in the doctor's office. There isn't enough room in the examination room for a woman, her doctor, and a politician. We had this debate on the radio, and Matt asked me to make breaking news and say that I don't believe abortion in the 8th or the 9th month. And I can tell you there was nothing news-breaking about that, because no Democrat believes that a woman should have an abortion in the 8th or the 9th month, and no doctor is going to deliver a baby and say, oh, we'll decide what to do with it now. I am for a woman to have all the rights that she currently has under Roe v. Wade, and I will fight for that right every minute that I'm in office, and I'm proud to stand with my governor, and I'm proud to be a Democrat and stand for a woman's right to make decisions on her body.
Time's up. All right, Matt, same question.
Yeah, she says that she doesn't think the government should get in between the decision between a doctor and a woman, but then she says it's okay for the government to get in the way in the 8th and 9th month. Where do you draw the line? Is the 7th month? I mean, she contradicts herself there. And to be honest, on this issue, I've said from the beginning of the campaign that I would never support an abortion ban. I agree with access to abortion, as 70% of America believes in. So I'm not trying to get rid of abortion, and I will represent my district on this issue. However my constituents want me to vote on any bill that comes across my desk, I will represent their interests. And, you know, it's important to note on the immigration question, which I didn't get to respond to, the bipartisan bill that she's mentioning would have legitimized everything that's going on right now in our country. It would have just provided more asylum officers to let these people come through. So,
thank you, Matt.
It
Thank
wouldn't
you
have done
for your
anything
comments.
to secure
We
the border.
appreciate that your time's up. Thank you. All right. That's going to end it for our questions and answers. That's all the time we have for that. We're going to get to the closing remarks now. The closing remarks will start with Matt Long. Matt, you'll have 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
Yes, thank you again. I also wanted to say on the property tax rebate, she says, it wasn't paid for. We have billions of dollars in the rainy day fund that you guys just spent on the budget. So don't tell me that we couldn't have paid for a 50% property tax rebate when people in Monroe County are struggling. Seniors are being priced out of their homes. I met a senior who had to leave the state because they couldn't afford to live here anymore. So that's just false. It's a cop-out to say that that is why you voted against it. You voted against it because it was a party line vote, and you were scared to do anything bipartisan. So that's just a huge difference we have. Closing statement, sorry. As I knock on thousands of doors, I'm really inspired by how good people are. I mentioned that at the beginning, but I want to say it again. At the end of the day, we all want the same things. We want to be able to afford to live. We want to be safe in our communities. And we want to protect the quality of life in the Poconos that we either moved here for or stay here for. We can make these things happen in the Poconos. It just takes leadership. It takes bipartisan, effective leadership. In our first debate, Maureen Madden's proudest accomplishment was garbage cans that she got from Main Street in Stroudsburg. I don't know if she realizes, but that's not even in our district anymore, Representative Madden. So her proudest accomplishment was for people in a different district. She's done nothing on cost of living. Look at the track record. Look at what's happened with prices over the last 8 years. She's done nothing on taxes, and she's done nothing to stop the warehousing that everybody is so upset about. Look, I'm going to represent my district, and I have heard from them loud and clear, and they are not happy with warehouses going up against residential areas. They're not happy with warehouses polluting into the Pocono Creek that so many people get well water from. She said in our first debate she hasn't had to pass any legislation on this. I think her constituents disagree.
Thank you very much. State Representative Maureen Madden, you'll have the last word, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I've been called many things in my lifetime, but scared has never been one of them. It has always been my policy to have a big mouth and to speak truth to power and truth to nonsense. And you've heard a lot of nonsense here. Matt Long says he would never stand in a way between a woman and her choice, but he didn't answer that question on the Legal Women Voters questionnaire. When I checked before this debate, that question was still empty.
I just answered it.
He did not, and we're not interrupting each other. That's my understanding of the rules. And he keeps talking about this $1,000. I'm not sure if you know, but we don't pass legislation in the House or the Senate if it doesn't have a fiscal note and if we don't know how much it is. And when Matt's talking about that 50% property tax relief and the billions of dollars we had, we didn't have billions of dollars in the rainy day fund. We just got billions of dollars when Tom Wolf came into office and we started saving. When I was a freshman in the House, there was $500 million in the rainy day fund. 8 years later, we have $16 billion, and we're using it to invest in your children, invest in education. School safety, we did that. $100 million for school safety in this 2024-2025 budget. We have invested. I learned early on when I was a freshman, and only 3% of our bills, Democrat bills, ever came out of committee for a vote, that the best thing I could do was return money home to my constituents, to return their money home. He talks about garbage cans. That was a conversation I had with Representative Probst when she was Mayor Probst, and she said, what are we going to do about all the garbage on the street after Friday and Saturday night on Main Street? I said, you know what? We're going to get those fancy garbage cans in Allentown, because that's what somebody with a 100% environmental record does.
Time is up. I want to thank you both for participating. Our forum will continue next with the candidates for the 189th Legislative District. We'll be right back.
You got to feel like we're living in a movie. Love you guys.
Formula One is go! Oh, it's contact! Formula One at its absolute finest! Oh my Lord, Max! This is Formula One!
Hi, it's Gary C. from Poco 103, inviting you to join me for the next Pocono Showcase with Roots in Blue Stone. Don't miss Roots in Blue Stone on the next Pocono Showcase on Blue Ridge 13.
My husband and I purchased my store in the heart of Palmerton. My business runs on internet. When we set up our Blue Ridge services, it was phenomenal.
The store, we use it for online purchases, doing inventory and transactions.
We have Blue Ridge Smart Home Security here at the store.
I had no idea that that was a service that they offered.
Loved it so much that I needed it at my home.
Ever since we've had Blue Ridge, all of these things give peace of mind when it comes to the safety of my family and the safety of my employees at work. They're a game changer.
You're watching BRC 13, only on cable.
We continue now with our 2024 Political Forum on BRC 13, sponsored by the Pocono Chamber of Commerce. I'm your moderator, George Roberts from TV 13, and we're coming to you live from East Stroudsburg University. Now, for this next half hour, we'll hear from candidates of the 189th Legislative District, which includes the Monroe County municipalities of Middle Smithfield Township, the East District, that is, Smithfield Township, and Stroud Township Districts 1, 3, 6, and 7. Also the boroughs of Delaware Water Gap, East Stroudsburg, and a portion of Pike County, consisting of the townships of Delaware, Lehman, and Porter. Joining us, we have State Representative Democrat Tarah Probst and her challenger Republican Lisa Van Wy. Again, opening and closing remarks will be 2 minutes in length. Answers to the questions will be 1 minute in length. We will start with our opening remarks and State Representative Tarah Probst. Tarah?
Thank you. So first, let me say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and to Blue Ridge Cable for hosting this, I was going to say debate, but you didn't call it that, a forum. And thank you, Lisa, for coming tonight. So I'm State Representative Tarah Probst, and you just went over my districts, but I was elected in 2022. I'm asking for your vote again in 2024. Prior to becoming the state representative, I was the mayor of Stroudsburg for 7 years. And I can tell you that when in Harrisburg, experience matters. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know how it works, whether coming out of committee, getting things passed on the House floor, going over to the Senate. It doesn't work like that, like some people think, and you try your hardest. I'm very bipartisan, and I have a lot of great friends on the other side of the aisle. But since I've been in office, we've accomplished a lot. Since I flipped the 189th district, we have a one-person majority. And with that one-person House majority, which, by the way, the Senate ruled Harrisburg for nearly 2 decades in the House and Senate. So many of the bills, like Maureen talked about, never saw the light of day. But since we've gotten there, one person, we were able to fund your schools for the first time in nearly 2 decades, and your taxes will go down. And let me tell you, we're year one of many. So we will fund those schools. We will stop the hemorrhaging of our taxpayers. And the school boards will be doing that in December and January. As a first-term rep, we did get some good bills signed into law, such as, funding law enforcement, funding first responders, making the senior rebate program go up to $1,000. We also did some dental screenings for kids, tax breaks for dependents, and there's so much more to be done. One of the things that I want to say, when we left there in July, over 399 bills were passed by the House and only 99 by the Senate. Some of the bills they didn't pass was raising the minimum wage that the Democrats did. protecting a woman's right to her body forever in Pennsylvania.
And time is
died
up,
in the
but
Senate.
thank you.
I'm asking for your vote in 2024.
All right, Lisa, you have opening remarks.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. My name, obviously, is Lisa Van Wy. I'm the Republican candidate for state representative. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Monroe County, as well as my husband of 38 years, and we've raised 2 children in this district. I'm a small business owner. But I'm also an owner and operator of that business for 20 years. So I do know what firsthand experience is in running a business, number one. Number two, I also served on the school board at East Stroudsburg for 8 years, total of 2 terms, and it ended in 2023. So I do know how the politics works in and out of that. I'm already experienced in that. I will say I ran for school board originally because of my high taxes that I pay in the district. I live right in East Stroudsburg. So with that said, I'm happy to say for the 8 years that we've been able to balance a budget and not cut programs and not cut staff for 8 years. So that's a proud accomplishment. I served on just about every committee on the school board, and it's given me much experience for that. I will say that I think, just running a business and hearing people every day and what concerns them, just everybody wants an economy that works, better schools, lower taxes, and safer streets. I'm known on the school board as the voice of reason and the common sense approach to leadership, and that's what I intend to bring to the 189th district if I have your support. And I'll end it there. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. All right, we're going to start our questions. Tarah, you'll have the first question, or you'll start with this first question here. The question is, one of our major concerns is the safety of our towns. As you know, in the last few years, crime and violence have scaled to a point where people don't feel safe anymore. Just last week, a person was fatally stabbed on the 300 block of Main Street in Stroudsburg. Do you have any solution or plan to combat the crime in our communities, the community problems that we are facing?
Sure. Well, let me just start off by saying that I was on the Stroud Area Regional Police Department on the commission for 7 years. We have a wonderful force, and believe me, in Stroudsburg, East Stroudsburg and Stroud Township, we are lucky that when we call 911, we have police there within minutes. Okay, so let me say that. But in Main Street, that was a domestic violence situation, and we do have a mental health issue going across country. For the most part, we have a safe town. We're safe where we live compared to other parts of the country. Things are going to happen. Mental health issues are out there, and my bill just got out of committee for the 988 hotline, which basically helps people that for suicide prevention, mental illness, for veterans, for first responders. These are the things that we needed to do, and this is something that the Republicans haven't done in nearly 2 decades. We are trying to combat mental health. We are trying to have safe storage for guns. We are trying to have red flag laws, which all the southern states have. We passed those bills. Senate didn't take it up.
Thank you. And Lisa, the same question.
Right. Safer streets are a big issue. And to say that it's pretty good in this town, I kind of disagree. Living here my whole life, we've seen changes. We've seen a lot of changes, and not in a good way. We have open borders. We have people coming across the border, people coming into our town. The question was asked how many illegals, was asked to my opponent at one point how many illegals are coming into the town. It was not answered. I'm not sure she knows, and that's okay. The point is they are here, and people are here, and it does make it unsafe. I walk my dog every day, shortly right by my house. We see a lot of different people. I'm not judging anybody. Everybody has a right to be here, but it goes to the safety. I'm not sure who's here. The area has changed. I think we need to beef up the police. The police do respond, and they do respond quickly, but we need more in our district as our area grows. We've seen an influx of people coming from this city, and we just need more people. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
I didn't get the X yet, sorry.
No,
I just kept going.
They're a little slow over there.
Okay.
I think. All right, moving on. Lisa, you'll start with this question. Speaking about crime, how do you feel about holding violent criminals accountable? What do you think about imposing statewide sentencing guidelines and uniformity of bail?
I'm not sure how to, obviously violent criminals should be held accountable for their crime. I'm not sure what else I can add to that other than I would support. Again, we need more law enforcement. We need more, we need to beef up all that. And, I would just like to get to, being at the State House Representatives, obviously I'm not there. I don't know all the details and what's going on there, but I would say my experience on the school board has led me to a place where I can work across the aisle to get a job done, to have a conversation, and beef up the timing. Sorry, I'm just going to end it there. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Tarah, same question.
Sure. If I'm not mistaken, your question was, could you just repeat it again? Because I didn't understand your answer.
Sure. Speaking about crime, how do you feel about holding violent criminals accountable for their crimes, obviously? And what do you think about imposing statewide sentencing guidelines and uniformity of bail?
Okay, so of course we need to hold egregious crimes accountable. In law school, my paper for my last year was called Same Crime, Different Time. And it was about the federal sentencing guidelines. And when you have sentencing guidelines and judges can't do their job, and all the judges left, not all of them, but a number of judges left the bench, right, with sentencing guidelines, because you had first-time nonviolent offenders doing 8 to 10 years in jail, where then you'd have a rapist who's doing 3 years in jail. So sentencing guidelines, I don't like. Judges are elected to do their job and to place sentencing on what they feel the punishment for the crime. I do want to say something, though. I'm born and raised here, too. My grandmother's born and raised here. And when I hear things saying our town's getting worse, our area's getting worse, you're offending 50% of the people that came in who are black and brown. And you should apologize for that. And on top of it, when you talk about open borders, are we talking about New Jersey and New York?
Time is up. Time is up. Now, audience, if you're going to do that, you're going to take time away from the candidate. She could have had another 10 seconds. She doesn't have it. So let's calm down, or I'll stop this. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next question, Tarah. Responsible PA has released independent polling by the national firm Signal, showing support for the legalization of adult-use cannabis. Where do you stand on legalizing marijuana in Pennsylvania?
Oh, this is bipartisan. Our Republican colleagues feel the same way in the House. It's in the Senate where it dies. It needs to be legalized. And I know, besides, Matt Long thinks that. He said it on the Gary C. This is something that definitely needs to be legalized. Every state around us legalizes it. We could make, their prediction was around $260 million in new revenue coming into our state. Listen, when you legalize it, you get drug dealers off the street as well. Make it legal, make it safe, because people are doing it right now, and we're just behind the times, and the Senate's holding this up. It's in the governor's budget. We passed it, and so should the Senate.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, same question.
Okay, so first of all, I did not offend anybody. I just want to go back to that. I did not mention any race, color, or creed. I am a hairdresser. I'll just say that. I love all people, and anybody that knows me knows I do not judge anybody on that. There are equally bad people on all ends of the spectrum. Now, going back to, I hate the blame game in, all I hear is we put it to the Senate, and they're doing nothing. So here's the thing. It went to the Senate. Why haven't you checked in or tried to work across the aisles to do that? I don't know if you've done that or not. I'm just saying. I have the ability to do that. I don't right now believe in legalizing marijuana for several reasons, and probably don't have enough time to say them now, but there's a lot of open issues that will still affect people if we legalize marijuana. We need to clean that up before passing a bill for someone to be able to be legal.
Thank you. All right, next question, Lisa, is about voting. The voting process has come under fire in recent years. Do you feel voters should have to show a form of ID in order to vote?
The answer is absolutely yes. I have to show ID to buy cough syrup at Walmart. Why would we not have to show ID just to prove that we are who we are when we're there? For hundreds of years, we've shown ID. The process was very simple. And here we are today after COVID, which COVID is over. There should be no reason that we can't show our ID. And honestly, it's absurd to think that somebody cannot obtain an ID. Talk about being, racist, right? It's absurd to think that a race of a certain creed cannot obtain an ID at this stage of the game in this world. So yes, I do believe it. Should have the ID.
Okay. Tarah, the same question.
Sure. Well, Pennsylvania law is you do need to show ID to get your voter registration. And I don't know how long people here have been voting, but when I first moved to the borough from the township, when I came back here in 2010 and moved to the borough in 2013, I had to run home and grab my ID because they've never seen me before. So you do have to show ID. It's just another made-up, fictional, crazy to say that people are doing this. And listen, there's been multiple court cases. You lose every time. It's a false statement, okay? Voter ID, we have to have in order to vote. If they don't know you at the polling place, they have a right to ask you for it. And then you do have to do it. I'm living proof of that. So all of this nonsense about illegals and voter ID, it's a Trump talking point. It's not working.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, Tarah, we'll move on to the next question. And it's about the government's only real way of making money to operate is through taxes. Do you feel Pennsylvania does an adequate job in keeping track of the money it spends and the organizations that it funds?
So basically, I just got here in 2022. I think that we passed so many good bills for the first time that actually help people. We're investing in our kids. When you invest in your kids, you have better communities, you have safer communities. For every dollar invested, you get a $17 return in a child, okay? So when you think, are we spending our money wisely? We not only put $1 billion into education, but we funded law enforcement initiatives, mental health initiatives, agriculture initiatives, you name it, and we still have $11 billion in the rainy day fund, still. And when you invest in people, it will give you a tenfold in return. So my answer is I think we did a great job in the 23-24 budget, and I think that we did an even better job in the 24-25 budget. I'm looking forward to the 25-26 budget because once we're starting doing things, good things are happening, they're going to keep improving. That's how I feel. We're finally investing in people.
Thank you. Thank you. Lisa, the same question.
Okay, first I want to clarify that I'm not here for Trump. I'm here for me and the people of my district that I will serve. That being said, we need to always be accountable for the money that is being spent. So any budget should always be looked over and looked over. Any programs they should always be scrutinized every year. We have all year to prepare for a budget, so we should do our due diligence in the committees to make sure that the money's being spent properly and allocated properly. We all know that money slides through the cracks here and there. So it's just fiscally responsible to bring into question. Lost my train of thought because of the 20 seconds, but that being said, I think we should always, and to be proud of a budget that we just passed, which is a historical all-time high. In the last 8 years, it's $8 billion, more. Okay.
All right, Lisa, we're going to move on to the next question, and you'll start this one. Minimum wage is currently $7.25 an hour here in Pennsylvania. Do you feel that's adequate, or would you back legislation to increase that amount, and do you have an idea of to how much?
So being a small business owner, this is it doesn't affect me directly because I'm owner-operator, very small business. But I will tell you this, when I do not have really employees anymore, but when I did, that was a big concern of mine because I am a small business, I would say micro business, it could have potentially put me out of business for a government to mandate what I pay. I pay people according to their value, what they bring to the table. I mean, we're in a commission basis. So I do not have a number, but I would also support, you know, the raise in minimum wage. I will say that most businesses nowadays don't even follow that because they can't get enough people to work anyway, so they have to pay them more. So it's kind of, you know, it just builds, you know, the raise goes up anyway. I don't think the government needs to mandate it.
Thank you. Tarah, same question.
Sure. Along those lines, when we passed this in the House, it wasn't $15 tomorrow. It was over the course of, I believe, 3 years getting to $15, so slowly, gradually going up. And with that, we also proposed in the House, which didn't see the light of day in the Senate, lowering the corporate tax net so that small businesses could pay less, so that they could afford more for their employees. We did so much to try to help small businesses and people. So these bills are out there, and they, you know, 87% of our bills in the House that passed were bipartisan, and I'm proud of that because that means that it was good legislation. Sometimes it was only one Republican, other times it might have been 50. But the fact of the matter is, it's an embarrassment that we're $7.25, a total embarrassment. We should be at 15, and I understand we can't do it overnight, but that bill should have passed, and over the course of the next couple of years, we need to get there. Otherwise, you're right, no one's going to work for these people, and then they're going to go out of business.
Thank you, Tarah. All right, we'll move on to our next question. Tarah, you'll start with this one. There are reports that some children's hospitals are prescribing sex reassignment drugs and conducting procedures on minors. What's your position on minors starting gender transition treatments in Pennsylvania?
Sure. So, I mean, this is something, honestly, I haven't heard this, but I can tell you right now that children are children, and I don't support that until a child would be an adult. That's just how I feel. I don't think, look, did I know what I wanted to do at 12 years old? I mean, I was called a tomboy growing up. I had 3 older brothers, right? I think kids can experiment, they can do whatever, but I would never, ever support changing their sex before they're old enough to do that on their own.
All right, Lisa, same question.
Well, I honestly have to agree 100%. I don't think it has any place until a person is of age at least 18 to even consider that transition. There's so much more, like Tarah said, you know, kids are kids, right? They go through puberty. They don't even like themselves some days. So I think we need to support more of the mental health and support the children at that level that have these feelings, rather than, you know, allowing that to be without the parents' consent or at all, honestly, at that age.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've got time for one more question. Affordable housing is a big issue, and the lack of housing in our area means there's less opportunities for people to move in here. And some say seniors need to be moved out of their homes so younger families can move in. Is that the only solution to increasing our affordable housing inventory? Lisa?
No, I mean, I think we should work with builders, work with developers to develop more affordable housing. But one of the things that makes housing unaffordable now, I would say, are the taxes in our area, number one, and the regulation on a builder or developer. It takes so much just to get to that level that by the time you get there and the expenses of the boroughs and the townships and their regulations, you know, by the time you get to it, you're already at like, you know, $1,600, $2,000 a month. It's tough. So I think the better solution to that is, you know, just infrastructure and, you know, considering all these things and supporting, like Matt had said, support the development of more funding and stuff in the development for lower income people.
Time's up. Tarah, same question.
Sure. Attainable housing is a problem around the country. And let me tell you, being on the housing committee in Harrisburg, this gets brought up a lot. One of the things that we're lacking here in Eastern Monroe and Southern Pike counties, especially, is affordable senior housing. So if we could build affordable senior housing, which I know the United Way is working on that right now, that would open up more 2- and 3-bedroom homes for younger families to start their life in. That's first. You help the seniors, that opens up some doors. Second, that I think is very important, one of the areas that we lack here is also transportation and how people get to places, right? So you could have an affordable home that's 25 miles up the road, but they don't have a bus to get into town. And let me just say, the House Democrats passed, we call it the LOOP, the Local Tax Relief for Longtime Homeowners. Our initiative is to get it on the ballot, and we announced that last week, where longtime homeowners in Monroe County can have the same as Philadelphia and Allegheny County with the breaks on the taxes.
All right, thank you, Tarah. All right, we're at the point for closing remarks for our forum tonight, and we will start with Lisa Van Wy. You'll have 2 minutes, Lisa.
Thank you. I just want to return back to the money that has been put forward from the budget to the schools in the name of tax relief to the taxpayers. The problem with that, I just want to make everybody clear, is the problem with that is the state legislators can throw money at the school districts and say, here's the money. When it gets to the school board decides where it goes. So it's not a guarantee back to the taxpayer. As a state legislator, we need to encourage possibly the school districts to do that, but we don't have authority over that. So that money that they've said is for tax relief, maybe they think it's for tax relief, but when it gets back to the school board level, they will have the deciding factor. That's why it's important to, support your, be careful who you put into the school board. Just, make sure that they can work through that. I have always been an advocate for that on the school board. I've been known as the voice of reason in most things. When I exited that, I always asked how we're going to pay for that. And again, able to keep, and if I was still on the school board, I would definitely take that money and put it back to I would advocate to put it back to the taxpayer. With that being said, again, I'm Lisa Van Wy. I'm running for the state representative seat at the 189. I believe we need an economy that works. We need better schools. We need lower taxes and safer streets. I can work across party lines to work that out and get those done. And it's been proven. I have a proven record of tax relief. So again, my ability to work across the lines with people and come to a common solution that everybody can live with. I just want to roll with common sense, conservative approach to leadership at the 189. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And Tarah, you have the last 2 minutes.
Sure. Well, I do want to say that if you would have read the bill, $2.5 million of the money to Stroudsburg is going back to the taxpayers, and $5.1 million is going back to the taxpayers in East Stroudsburg, because that was in the bill. So school boards will decide how they're going to do it, whether it's a rebate or whether they're going to lower the mill, but that's on the school boards, and that's just year one. Because of a Republican House and Senate for nearly 2 decades, schools have not been funded to where they should have. It's been a Band-Aid approach. We finally helped Monroe County. We were dead last. There's 500 school districts. Guess what ours were? Number 500, 499, 498, and 497 in funding. You guys have been hemorrhaging in taxes. And finally, a one-person majority in the House, and I like to think it's me because I flipped the 189, we finally funded the schools, and you are going to start getting tax breaks, and you can thank the Democrats for that. So I'm Tarah Probst. I really want you to vote for me again in 2024 because I am 100% committed to the public. I am accessible. People call me. I take their phone calls. I have a fantastic staff that helps people day in and day out. And truthfully, I couldn't do it without my staff or my family because I'm always working. Always. And I'm working for things that affect every one of you in this room. Maybe you don't like how I feel about national politics, but I guarantee you my local politics are going to help you and put more money in your pockets, get more jobs, get better roads. And this is what I've been doing day in and day out. We have passed over 399 bills that help each and every person in this room. lowering corporate taxes for one. So whether you're a small business or a large business, you're going to make more money. We just want to cut the Delaware loophole so that these big Walmarts who pay zero don't anymore. They got to pay their fair share. I have 20 seconds left. I've been endorsed by over 30 different PACs, the realtors, the environment, the Northeast trial lawyers, the teachers. I mean, it goes on and on. The nurses, labor, the AFL-CIO, they know I work hard. They want me back in that seat, and I'm asking for your vote in November.
Thank you, Tarah. And we'd like to thank all the candidates who participated tonight. Thanks to Pocono Chamber of Commerce, East Stroudsburg University. Thanks to the Blue Ridge Communications TV 13 crew for all the work on tonight's broadcast. Don't forget, Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th, and be sure to watch News 13 on election night for local election results starting at 9 p.m., live newscasts at 10 and 11. We will see you then. Thank you.
You're watching BRC 13, only on cable.
Ron Hazelton travel.